Welcome back to our NFL picks. Last week, your boy Alec came out victorious. Had my best week ever, I guess relative to everybody. I think my first time in the leaderboard. And then Chris was at 6-9, very nice. Peter at 7-8, and Jason at 8-7. So one extra win each as we went up. I don't know. Got a couple weeks left. We'll see if anyone's able to swap places. We're all within striking distance of the person ahead of us, but making two jumps is going to be difficult. This week, we got a couple interesting spreads. We'll start off with the first game, Jacksonville at New York Jets. The New York Jets are a 1.5-point favorite. I found this one difficult because I was looking at my fantasy lineup, and I was like, might have to start Zach Wilson in a Superflex league over Russell Wilson, but it seems like Russell is playing, so stay on the bench, Mr. Zach Wilson. I think I really like Jacksonville here. You know, they're playing quite well the last couple of weeks, and, you know, Zach Wilson is Zach Wilson, so I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, the past couple of weeks, the Jets' defense hasn't been as scary as it had been outside of Sauce Gardner, really. Fun stat here, Trevor Lawrence in his past 7 games has thrown for 15 touchdowns to just 3 interceptions. Zach Wilson, for his career, has thrown 15 touchdown passes. So in a battle of quarterbacks, the edge definitely goes to Lawrence. I will also be taking the Jets, despite the fact that I am a little wary taking Jacksonville on the road.
Just to confirm, Peter, you said you were picking Jacksonville, not because I heard the Jets.
I am taking Jacksonville, correct.
All right. Okay. I just want to make sure because okay. All right. I don't want to be contrarian here. Jacksonville's definitely hot right now. I think it is going to be a tough matchup for him against the Jets defense, but with the QB situation in New York, it's just a little iffy. So I feel better about picking Lawrence here. Next up, we've got Atlanta and Baltimore. So if we listen to the Falcons preview show, then you'll know that I guess I have to pick Atlanta here because my score prediction was 16-9, and that's within the 7.5 point spread currently that it's at right now. It's going to be really interesting though because Lamar did not practice today, and I think still questionable as whether he's going to play this game, and I think this line's going to come down.
Yeah, it was at 7 when we recorded the show, and I said, "Oh, you're going to do a push," and now it's changed. I guess Sammy Watkins over Duvernay is the change agent here. So, when we last talked about it, they didn't have Sammy Watkins on the team, and Duvernay hadn't broke his foot. So, I'm going to go with Baltimore still. I still think what I said is true. Like, Baltimore is going to be able to maybe outscore their offense with just the defensive points.
It really shouldn't matter who's back there at quarterback for the Ravens as long as they just continue to run the ball with Dobbins, Gus, and a little bit of Justice Hill. That's all they'll need to win this game. They might not even need to throw a pass.
I honestly want them to do the New England strategy. Like, I think it could be really successful.
What's that? What they did again?
When they didn't,
in the win game?
Yeah, when they didn't throw it, they threw the 2 passes all game.
It could work. That's how bad the Falcons' rushing defense is and how unprepared to start in the NFL Desmond Ridder is. So, anyways, moving on to the next game. We got the New York Giants, who are coming off a win against the Commanders on Sunday Night Football. A bit of a controversy there with the end of that game, penalty-wise. Traveling to Minnesota, who was able to claw back and pulled off the biggest comeback in NFL history to date against the Colts on Saturday. Minnesota is favored at 4.5, and I really never know what to expect with Minnesota. Like we just saw, they were literally 2 separate teams on Sunday. I guess I'll take them, but honestly, this is not a game I would put real money on because Minnesota, you never know what you're going to get with this Vikings team.
Yeah, I think I might go the Giants here, just because I think Minnesota's coming off a really long game. I mean, that game went to the end of overtime before that thing finished. It was a really, really long game. I think that might have something to do with it. They are playing at home, but I think the conditioning will be a factor, and I think the Giants can keep this game close.
Yeah, these are all really great points. I'm equally as conflicted as it seems everyone might be here. I'm also going to go with the Giants, kind of a little bit more in the Chris state of mind than Peter for that with how I was looking at it. New Orleans at Cleveland. Cleveland, 2.5-point favorites. It pains me to say it. I think I'm going to go with Cleveland. And it's not because they beat the Ravens. It's just because I watched New Orleans against Atlanta. They didn't do that much. They scored the 2 touchdowns quick, and then they forgot how to score. And it shouldn't be like that. So, and also they let Desmond Ridder go down the field a couple times. So I'm going to go with Cleveland. Yeah, that's it.
Really interesting matchup. You've got Nick Chubb and Myles Garrett questionable. If you're betting real money on this game, I would wait to see what happens with both of them. And in addition, of course, you've got a dome team from the south coming up, and there's going to be some weather. I think I've heard some rumors of snow as well. And, I agree with you. New Orleans, it looked like they should have been able to do more against Atlanta, and even though they won, they didn't do as much. But Cleveland didn't do terribly much against Baltimore either. It's just that Baltimore's passing game did even less. So I generally don't like taking dome teams from the south, but, if Cleveland doesn't have Chubb and Garrett, I think the advantage is New Orleans here. Yeah, that's me betting it now. If both of them are in, then that gets dicier. But for now, I'll take New Orleans.
Yeah, you know what? I think I might go New Orleans as well. I think there was some stat out there that all the teams in the AFC North, I think we've beaten all the teams in the AFC South or the NFC South, I think. I'm going to say that this one is the first one that doesn't happen. It's going to flip around. I'll pick New Orleans. All right, next up, we've got Cincinnati at New England. This game is going to be really interesting. Looks like Cincinnati is favored by 3 at the moment. As much as it pains me to, I think I got to go Cincinnati. I mean, they've been playing really hot. Obviously, I think they had some issues, in that game with Tampa, but Tampa really let them come back into it. But against New England, I think Cincinnati should be a comfortable pick here.
Cincinnati is my lock of the week. I couldn't believe it was just 3 points. Yeah. Did anyone see what happened to New England? They'll let them cover in the last play of the game. They'll just start throwing the ball backwards, and then, I don't know. Someone will be there to catch it. Dax Hill.
Cincinnati with T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd beat up were still able to come back against Tampa. Got to go Cincinnati here. All right, next up, we've got Seattle at Kansas City. Kansas City is a 10-point line. I'm going to be saying the same thing I've said the past 2 weeks. Kansas City, I expect them to win, but their defense cannot hold these lines. And the past 2 weeks, they have not been able to cover, and I think that's going to happen again. I don't understand why the lines are that big when the Chiefs really have not. It's been a few weeks since they've been a team that can cover that. So I'm going to take – I put down I'm taking KC here, but I'm taking Seattle.
Yeah, I was going to say. All right.
Yeah, same. Pretty much the same logic, Peter. I'm going to go Seattle as well.
All right. Not going to be contrarian. I'm actually thinking the exact same thing. And this will obviously be the week
right, of course, yeah.
Because
we're all on it.
Like, I know. It's like, but it's you're right, Peter. Like, I couldn't believe what I saw in Houston. They kept it, like, Houston was winning for a while.
That game went to overtime.
Like, I know. It's like, what's going on? Like, how Kansas City, come on. Like, yeah. All right, this is a fun one. Detroit at Carolina. These are the two teams that are, like, way better than their records show in a way, have, potential, etc. Detroit, -3. I really like Detroit here, though, even though they're the away team. I think they'll be able to perform in Carolina, and I think they just have the better team all around, defense and offense.
Look at the Lions, 6-1 in their past 7. Their one loss being to Buffalo on Thanksgiving, a game they very well could have won. And the narrative that they can't win outdoors is over as well. They beat Chicago. They beat the Giants. They beat the Jets. I certainly think that Carolina is certainly not the best better than any of those 3 teams that I just said there. Give me the red-hot Lions, the most interesting story in the NFL currently, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm going to take Detroit as well. Carolina coming off of somewhat close loss to the Trubisky-led Steelers last week.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Detroit's just rolling too hot right now. I don't think Carolina's going to be able to make this one close. All right, next up, Houston at Tennessee. Tennessee favored by 3. I'm just going to say this. Derrick Henry's riding really hot. Derrick Henry also performs really well against Houston. There's no way I'm picking Houston for this. Tennessee all the way.
Yeah, that's a good point. Houston, bad run D. Tennessee will run the whole game because Malik Willis is likely to start. Yeah, I guess it might be a recipe for success. Tennessee.
The Houston Texans defense is to Derrick Henry what the Cleveland Browns defense was to Jamal Lewis. Derrick Henry owns the Texans defense for his career. 202 carries for 1,254 yards and 11 touchdowns, according to StatMuse.
Holy cow.
You jam Derrick Henry into your DFS lineup. You smash the over on his props this week. You take Tennessee. They cannot stop Derrick Henry. All right, now another team that this is an interesting one. Buffalo at Chicago. Buffalo is an 8.5-point favorite, but Buffalo, it's been a little tough to bet them against the spread recently. Obviously, they win a lot of games, but their line's always they always either come just a little bit over, or a little bit under the lines there. I think right now I have to take Buffalo because once again Justin Fields got beat up in the game. I don't know. I haven't seen his status yet, but I'm going to take the Bills, knowing that information. If Justin Fields was completely healthy, I might actually take the Bears, but given that, I got to go Bills.
Yeah. This one's close. I guess I'll go Buffalo with this one. Yeah, I think some news about, I think, the weather being a little interesting for this game. It is going to be in Chicago. Might be a little bit of a storm. Buffalo is built for it, though. I mean, they have the most snow in the league. But yeah, Buffalo for me.
Will this be the 5th straight game that we all are in agreement for?
It feels weird. We got to switch it up at some point.
I know. I'm going with Buffalo, too. I just think it's... When I look at this game, and I have in my head the lens of, is Buffalo going to score just enough more to cover or just a little bit less to make you want to cry? I'm leaning towards them doing a little bit more. That's just kind of where I'm at. Washington at San Francisco. San Francisco is a cool 7 points favored. I like San Francisco here. Ever since I've been picking San Francisco, I've been winning more. They were one of my bugaboos earlier in the season. And... they might be the hottest team in the NFC right now. I guess maybe Detroit, but yeah.
Yeah, it's San Francisco, Detroit, Philly. The NFC has some teams right now, but Washington traveling to the West Coast, getting swept by the Giants this year, especially losing to the Giants after coming off a bye. I liked what Washington was doing, but they've seemed to come back to reality a bit. And San Francisco has been maybe my favorite team outside the Ravens all year. I got to go San Francisco.
Do I do it? Do I make it 6 in a row, or do I be contrarian here? What the heck? I'll go Washington, not because they're going to win, but because they'll keep it within the spread. Would not shock me whatsoever if San Francisco was able to blow them out 35-0, though. We'll see. All right, next up, this is a really interesting matchup. NFC East divisional matchup of two powerhouses in the NFC, Philadelphia at Dallas. Dallas is favored by 5, and I think that's primarily because of Hurts's status at this point. Oh, man, Dallas obviously coming off with that heartbreaking loss against Jacksonville last week. I don't know. I like Minshew, but I don't know if I like him enough to keep that spread that close. I guess I'll go Dallas here. I don't feel great about it, though.
Gardner Minshew, baby. I'm going with Philadelphia. All he has to do is throw it to A.J. Brown or Devonta Smith and let them do the rest. I mean, we're have confidence in Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, in case you haven't heard yet. Going against Washington and putting up points. Why? Because he has playmakers. And we don't think that Gardner Minshew Esquire can't do it? Come on. Let's do it. Let's ride. Philadelphia.
Minshew last season, 68 completion percentage, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick in 3 games, really 2. We played majority of snaps. defeated the Jets 33-18. Lost at home though to the Dallas Cowboys 51-26. I think the Cowboys are going to be upset. I think the Cowboys win this game. That being said, I am going to take the Eagles because of the spread. I don't think Dallas is going to win by that much. I don't think they're in a state to do that right now. They've got some issues, despite some good things going on with their team too. So I'll take Philly. All right, next game, the Raiders at the Steelers. This is a tough one because both these teams have been basically Jekyll and Hyde for weeks now. So I'm just going to take the Raiders because, who knows?
I guess I'll pick Pittsburgh. Just because, I don't know, I feel a little bit more comfortable about them than Vegas.
When trash plays trash, take the points. Go with Vegas. Next up, Green Bay at Miami. Miami is a 3.5-point favorite. Miami's got the weather on their side. I think they're getting a little healthier. I'm going to feel good with Miami over Green Bay. Green Bay didn't look particularly explosive when I watched them last night. So, yeah.
I'm actually going to go Green Bay. I think that they've figured some things out coming out of the bye. I agree they didn't look particularly explosive, but I also didn't think they looked terrible either. I think they've got some things that are working.
Yeah.
Now, of course, we have to watch out what happens with A.J. Dillon in the concussion protocol, and given the state of their offense, losing him after they've finally decided to figure out how to unleash him after all my fantasy teams where I drafted him were out of the playoffs. Thank you, Green Bay. But, Miami, yes, they played Buffalo well, but, I think teams are starting to figure them out. There was the injury to the left tackle. I could certainly see Miami winning this game. I could see Green Bay winning it as well. I'll go Packers, though.
I think I'll pick Miami as well. The thing for me, I think, is just Green Bay going away on a short week already when they had a Monday night game. I'll give it to the home team here. All right, next up we've got Denver at LA Rams. Denver favored by 2.5. Yeah, the Rams obviously, they packed it in. There's so many injuries. As much as we've talked about how Denver is just a team you should never pick this season, I got to go with them here. The Rams are as much worse.
Take Denver in that defense to be able to beat Baker Mayfield and the skeleton crew that is the Rams this year.
Yeah, you got to take the Denver defense regardless of who quarterbacks for the Broncos this week. All right, next up, Tampa Bay at Arizona. Tampa Bay is a 7.5-point favorite. Is that correct?
It's because of it's going to be the Trace McSorley show.
Well, it's 2022, and I'll take almost any quarterback in the league over Tom Brady right now. If they couldn't beat the Bengals who were beat up at home after that awful loss against San Francisco, now they got to go travel back out to the West Coast. They might win, but they're not winning by that much. Let's take McSorley for the upset.
I'm with you, man. Let's do it.
Guess I get to be contrarian. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay. Trace, I know some people around here love you. I don't know if you're going to be able to pull it off. Last game, the LA Chargers, man, at Indianapolis. LA Chargers are favored by 5. And I'm laughing because I'm like, I was about to diss Indianapolis, who scored 33 points and a half against Minnesota, but then I remembered they lost. And that's our Indianapolis we know and love. Give me the Chargers to be able to cover because Indianapolis put all they could into that one half. They have nothing left for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I'm going to pick the Chargers too, although I'm just like having in my head right now of what if there's a timeline that Foles gets hurt and then Matt Ryan gets put back in for the third time in the season.
Gosh.
I don't know.
Man. He's like Michael Myers in Halloween. You can't kill him. He just keeps coming back.
Yeah.
Oh, man. This is, gosh. This is another game I will not be putting real money on. But, man, I guess it's just my bias against the Chargers. I can't do it. I guess I'm just going to go with the game script that Indianapolis does their usual sprint ahead, gets gassed, but the Chargers win by 3 in the second half.
Oh man, well, that'll be one worth watching on Monday night. Make sure to leave your picks in the comments and give the video a like if you can. It helps other people find it. And we'll see you next week. And I hope you guys have a great holiday season. And best of luck this week.